Hello, my name is Carter Kirchhevel, and I have a show called Catching Up with Carter on Thursdays from 10 to 11 a.m. on Saddleback College Radio 88.5 HD2. Check out and subscribe down below if you'd like to see more recordings of this show and to see my NFL and college football takes.
Did you miss your football games this week? Do you need to catch up? Welcome to Catching Up with Carter here on Saddleback College Radio. Thursdays at 10, he will recap it all.
Hello, my name is Carter Kirchhevel, and welcome to Catching Up with Carter here on 88.5 HT2 Saddleback College Radio. You are listening to Save Your Tears by The Weekend, and welcome to Catching Up with Carter. We recap all Los Angeles sports. We will cover the Rams, Chargers, Raiders, and 49ers games, and for college, we will cover USC, UCLA, and of course, Saddleback College football. We had a fun weekend of football. Can't wait to get into it with all of you. Our next song is Fair Trade by Drake and Travis Scott. Again, you're listening to Catching Up with Carter Kirchhevel here on 88.5 HD2 Saddleback College Radio.
Rams, Chargers, 49ers, Raiders, USC, UCLA, and of course, Saddleback football. He covers it all. It's Carter Kirchhevel, your Saddleback student sports voice.
Hello and welcome back to Catching Up with Carter here on Saddleback College Radio. My name is Carter Kirchhevel, and we are starting up with our NFL segment here. And these NFL games were amazing, so we're going to get right into it with the Rams. Now, for the Rams, we had a prediction last week. We were thinking the Rams were going to beat the Cardinals 24-21. So we'll see if that happens. We're going to go through a quick recap, and then we'll go over that final score. So going off right away, off the kick return, Blake Corum, who was the pick from Michigan, ends up getting a great return to start the game. Seemed like the Rams had the momentum right away. Ended up that on their first drive, they went for it on fourth down and turned the ball over. And this was just right away, that first drive set the momentum. It gave Arizona played amazing. Budda Baker, I don't understand that guy. He played amazing during this game. But the Cardinals themselves, in general, played great. And MHJ, Marvin Harrison Jr., played amazing football. And they responded right away with a deep touchdown pass to MHJ, starting the game 7-0. Then the Rams, they have to punt yet again, basically, turning the ball over on the first drive, now punting. And Arizona throws another touchdown to MHJ. 2 touchdowns. This guy was crazy in fantasy football this week. They took the lead 14-0 so far. The Rams have no momentum. This was a horrible start for the Rams. At first, I thought the momentum was on their side. On the first drive, it seemed like they were getting something going, and then everything kind of crumbled and burned in the sense of that they punted yet again. And then Arizona scored again. It was 21-0 in the second quarter. It was insane. 21 points. The Cardinals are one of those teams. They are a dark horse team to maybe even win the NFC West. I know that is a crazy take, even with the Niners, but we'll talk about that game later. As a 49ers fan, that was sad. Moving back to this Rams game here, then the Rams, they get stuffed, but they do get a field goal, so it's 3-21. Cardinals then settle for another field goal, 24-3 now. The Cardinals are up 24-3. Crazy game, just insane for the Cardinals. Then the Rams go for it on 4th and goal right before halftime and don't get a touchdown. Halftime score is 24-3. No one could have ever guessed this. I said they were only going to score 21 points this week, 24-3. Then after halftime, the Cardinals score again off a James Conner touchdown, and it's a run up the middle, 31-3 now, and the Rams have to punt. Cardinals get a field goal, 34-3. Kyron scores a touchdown finally for the Rams. The Rams finally got some momentum on their side with that touchdown. End of the third quarter. Going into the fourth quarter, it is 34-10, and just even in the fourth quarter, it was over. The Cardinals, they fumbled into the end zone. Crazy play. If you watch it back, ends up that the Cardinals, they run it up the gut and they fumble into the end zone, but then recover it. So it ends up becoming a touchdown anyway. And if you had Trey McBride, you were very happy because he recovered that fumble in the end zone to get a touchdown. So it was 41-10. Cardinals get a fumble and then fumble it right back to the Rams, and it ends the game. That's final score. It was 41-10 Cardinals. This prediction was absolutely trash. I don't understand this game as well. It was just really sad. Just a really, really just sad game for the Rams themselves, 41-10. And another just sad thing to talk about is Puka Nacua, he's still on IR for a minimum of 3 more weeks. And Cooper Kupp, he also got injured and was walking with a boot after the loss. And so assuming this could be a high ankle sprain, it means he could miss time. And the Rams, they play the Niners next week. But for the Niners, same exact situation. They have Debo out and Christian McCaffrey. So we'll see how that goes. But my prediction still, I'm going to put 28-17. The 49ers are going to win that one. But for fantasy football, if you are looking for a tight end, Colby Parkinson, he might be a good person to pick up. With all the receivers for the Rams being injured, the tight end Colby Parkinson could be someone to just be targeted. He'll be targeted during these next few weeks. So now we're going to be moving into the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, for the Chargers, they played against the Panthers. Now, this was one of those games where you're just like, okay, we know that the Chargers are going to win it. And so the prediction was 28-7, Chargers win, and the final score was 26-3. So we pretty much got that right on, and we call that a nice prediction. So it was 26-3 final score. We're going to recap this one pretty fast, but we have just Quentin Johnston. He's looking really, really good. Starts off 6-0 for the Chargers. Crazy missed extra point from Cameron Dicker. We have not seen that in a very long time from him. Panthers then punt. Herbert throws a pick to J.C. Horn. Seemed like the Panthers might have had some momentum as that interception was early, but just it didn't matter. Both teams exchanged punts. End of the first quarter, then the Chargers find Quentin Johnston again. He had 2 touchdowns on the day, 13-0 to start. Then Bryce Young, he throws an interception into the middle of the field, and J.K. Dobbins showed up again, starting in the end of this second quarter, and he scores a touchdown off a long run, 20-0. And at halftime, 20-0 score. Chargers had all the momentum of the world, and the Panthers, then they settle for a field goal. Chargers get a field goal right back. Panthers punt. Herbert fumbles. Just crazy kind of end to this game. Chargers then end up getting a field goal in the fourth quarter, 26-3, and the Panthers turn it over on downs at the end of the game. Didn't even get a chance to get a score. It was 4th and 18, I believe, trying to get that ball, and it was over. The final score, 26-3. Just for the Panthers' sake, I feel horrible for these guys. It was just nothing was going right for them. I feel really bad for their team. But for the Chargers, just an amazing game. The defense looked amazing, but it is the Panthers, as we said. Johnston, he also had a great game, getting 2 touchdowns. And the Chargers play the Steelers next week at 10 a.m., and I think it'll be a close game. Justin Fields, he's 2-0 right now with them, so we'll see how that goes. But I think 17-10, Chargers win. I think that's going to be a win for them. And again, for fantasy football, if J.K. Dobbins isn't picked up, go pick him up right now. And Quentin Johnston might be a good wide receiver pick to pick up if you need a flex spot. So next, we're going to be going into the Las Vegas Raiders.
Raider Nation, stand up!
And so for the Chargers, or not for the Chargers, for the Raiders, they had a game against the Ravens. This is one of those games that you believe that the Raiders just don't have a chance. And I was wrong. The prediction I had was 10-31 as the Ravens were going to win, and the final score 26-23. Very close game, and the Raiders ended up winning. They ended up winning this game, and the Ravens are now 0-2. Just a crazy start. But for the Raiders themselves, they look great. So we're going to go through this game as the Raiders, they started with a fumble, but the Raiders do recover, but they have to punt. Ravens then settle for a field goal. The Raiders have to punt again. The first quarter was not good. It was 2 punts for the Raiders and just a field goal for the Ravens. So it was 3-0. And then the Ravens, they punt right after that first quarter break, and then the Raiders, they get a field goal to tie it at 3. Ravens then respond with their own field goal to gain the lead 6-3. As you can see, back to forth field goals for both of these teams. If you had Justin Tucker or Daniel Carlson, it seems like both those guys would have got a lot of points, and they did in this game. Then Minshew, he throws a pick and turns the ball over. At this point, we think that it's just the same old Raiders, but Turns out in the second half, it's a little bit different. Then there's a great defense on a long bomb, forces a long field goal for Justin Tucker. He misses. He's been struggling from those long field goals this season. He's missed multiple so far. Then the Raiders get a field goal to tie it at 6. The Ravens have a good drive before half and hit a field goal to bring the lead to 9-6. That is the halftime score, 9-6. Ravens. Very, very weird score. You think the Ravens would have a little bit more points, but they just didn't. They didn't really have the momentum. The Ravens then, after halftime, they score a touchdown off a Zay Flowers grab, and it's 16-6. Seems like same old Raiders, as I said. But then Minshew, on 4th down, tries to find Davante Adams. He turns it over on downs. Raiders then pick the ball off. It is off of Lamar Jackson. It's the momentum's on their side now. They get an interception, and Alexander Mattison, he scores a touchdown from the 1 to bring the game closer, 13-16. Then at the end of the third, that is the end of the third quarter. And then Derrick Henry in the Wildcat formation scores a touchdown to bring the lead to 23-13. At this point, 23-13, to be honest, I tuned out of this game. I was like, okay, let's go back. Let's watch some other football. I think this game is over. But I was wrong. And the Raiders, they forced the Ravens to punt. They do get a field goal at 16-23. Then the Raiders score a passing touchdown to Davante Adams, tying it at 23-23. Then Max Crosby, he gets a sack, forcing a long 3rd down that forces a punt, and the Raiders score a field goal off a good drive to take the lead, 26-23, late in the 4th. And Lamar, he runs it all the way downfield. If you watch the play, go back and watch those highlights. A very, very funny last play of the game as he was pitching it back and forth. It just ended up falling on the floor, and that was it. Game was over, 26-23. And if you watch this game back, Davante Adams and Brock Bowers now have a great connection with Minshew and just show why this team is meshing as a single unit. They're really, really playing good football now. In that second half, they were playing very, very well. And Max Crosby had an amazing game, of course. He's now putting himself in that Defensive Player of the Year talk right now. And the Raiders this next week, they play the Panthers at 105. And so for me, the Raiders, I believe they're going to win 31-10. That is my prediction. Fantasy football, obviously a lot of you already have Brock Bowers, but the Raiders defense, if you need a defense, pick them up. They are playing the Panthers this week. They will be a good pickup. And now we're going to be going into the 49ers.
Droopy on the beat. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
And now for the 49ers, this was the game, the one game of this week that for myself, I was kind of divided. As for me, my family, they're big Vikings fans, and myself, I'm a 49ers fan. But this game, it was just nothing that I expected. As the 49ers, my prediction was 34-14. The 49ers win, and the final score was 23-17. The Vikings won. So it was a very, very bad showing for the 49ers. And we're going to recap this game right now. As the 49ers, they start with good defense, forcing a punt. But the Vikings defense forced a punt of their own and get a block, getting a great field position. They got a block off a blocked punt. Just a crazy start to the game. The 49ers, we do force a field goal starting 3-0, and that ends the first quarter, which means that the Vikings are up. They have the momentum. The 49ers then go for it on 4th down in the red zone and don't get it, turning the ball over. And then Sam Darnold shocked the world with a 97, let me get that in your head, 97-yard touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson, extending the lead to 10-0. Then the Vikings, they get a stop on 4th down for the 49ers. The 49ers couldn't get anything done. But then, of course, we had Fred Warner. Fred Warner then has a jumping interception. Fred Warner should be in that conversation. In my opinion, I know that it's been edge rushers over and over for Defensive Player of the Year, but we need to be talking about Fred Warner. He had a fumble strip in 2 games so far, 1 in each, and he's had an interception in his second game so far. Just great play from him. Then we get a Kittle touchdown off of a screen pass for a touchdown. It's 7-10 now, trying to get a little bit closer. Then the Vikings get a field goal before halftime to extend the lead 13-7. Then the 49ers are forced to punt right after the half. The Vikings have to punt as well, but then Purdy throws it into a tight window and throws an interception, showing why maybe he was supposed to be the last pick. I'm just messing. I love Brock Purdy. I think he's going to be great, but this was just a little bit of a forced throw there, and the Vikings score off a perfect throw from Sam Darnold. Now it's 20-7. Then Purdy, he throws another interception right after off of a deflection. Both these are off deflections. Just a tough game for Brock Purdy. Then Fred Warner, Again, he forced a fumble in the red zone on Aaron Jones at the 1 yard line, and the 49ers recovered the football, not letting them get a touchdown to extend the lead. Crazy plays from Fred Warner. Then Jordan Mason, he scores a go-ahead touchdown to bring it closer in the beginning of the fourth. It is 14-20. Vikings then settle for a field goal, 23-14. Purdy then almost throws a pick, but Debo saves him, and the 49ers settle for another field goal, 17-23. And the Vikings recover the onside kick after the 49ers attempt one, and the Vikings run the clock out, and that's it. 23-17. The Vikings are now 2-0 this season. No one predicted this from the Vikings with Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold proving why he is a great talent. And the news for the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey was now placed on IR, meaning he will be out till at least week 6, and Debo will now also be out and miss time. The 49ers offense will have to figure out a way to win without their two main weapons. The Vikings, they also lost Justin Jefferson, but Sam Darnold still looked amazing. He still looked great in every aspect of the game. He played great just being a leader of this team. And for fantasy football, again, Jordan Mason, he will now be the main guy. So if he should be picked up in your league, but if he is not, go get him, as now Debo will also be missing time, so he'll be the main back. And if you need an extra running back, Ty Chandler from the Vikings is not a bad pick. He could be a great flex option. He had some great yardage against the just against the Niners defense. It was just crazy defense from them. And so that'll be the end of our NFL recap. Thank you for following that with me. Just some crazy football games. And our next song is going to be Armies by KB. You are listening to Catching Up with Carter Kirchhevel here on Saddleback College Radio 88.5 HD2. Hello and welcome back to Catching Up with Carter here on 88.5 HD2 Saddleback College Radio. You were just listening to Armies by KB, and my name is Carter Kirchhevel, and for myself, we're going to be getting into our look into college football. And for us, we're going to be starting with our game with USC. We're going to be starting with them. They did not have a game this week. And so for themselves, we're just going to be looking at just a general, what's going on with them. And so we are going to firstly just look back at their game they had last week, as it was 48-0 against Utah State, showing why USC should be ranked as high as they are. Their next game is against the Michigan Wolverines at 12:30 on Saturday, and USC has moved up in the rankings, as USC is ranked 11th and Michigan is ranked 17th. And as although USC is ranked higher, this will be a great test. It will be a great test to see if USC's defense can get the job done. And so my prediction is 27-24, USC wins and keep this streak alive. And so going into UCLA, as we're going to be talking about them, as this last week they played against the Indiana Hoosiers, and it was just not the best game, as the final score was 42-13. It was just not a great game for them. I felt bad. It was just not at all how we just wanted to see this game go. And so we're just hoping that maybe we get a little bit better of a game. And so we're kind of hoping to see just UCLA improve in general. So let's get with this game recap. So for Rourke, he starts with a passing touchdown in the middle of the end zone for Indiana, starts 7-0. Then Garbers, he just starts with a fumble. He turns the ball over, just awful. It was just not what you wanted to see just from them at all. And then just Rourke gets another touchdown pass off a screen to bring it 14-0. UCLA has to punt yet again. And that's the end of the first quarter. Just an awful first quarter, 14-0. And then Indiana has a great drive, capped off with another touchdown up with a run up the middle, 21-0 now. Then UCLA, they finally do get a touchdown. They get it right before the end of the half to bring it to a little bit closer, 7-21. Then at halftime, then right after halftime, UCLA then gets a field goal, 10-21. The score is now, then Rourke, he gets another touchdown pass to the right of the end zone, 28-10. That ends the third quarter. It's 28-10. Just no momentum at all for UCLA. Then just after that, it just kind of was over. Rourke, he just he just took over. It was another deep touchdown pass from Wark, 35-13. UCLA did get another field goal to make it a little bit closer. Then Garbers throws an interception to turn the ball over. Just a garbage game from him. Just absolutely. It was just not good at all. Then Indiana scores another touchdown off a run up the middle. 42-13 was the final score. It was just not at all how you wanted to see. And the Hoosiers, they start 3-0. And the Bruins, they fall to 1-1. And Garbers, he received an F for his play in this game, only throwing 14 of 23 for 137 yards in the interception, while Rourke went for 25 completions for 307 yards and 4 touchdowns. And so hopefully UCLA, they can improve, and Garbers in general can improve. UCLA does play LSU on the 21st. And so for my prediction, I have it 17-34. That is just my final score. I just don't see anything going on. I just don't see anything happening for this roster. It's just tough to say. I don't see any improvement from week one. They look like the exact same team. And so we're just going to move on from that. We're just going to stop talking about UCLA. Hopefully they can get something going. Maybe I can say a little bit more positive as this weekend we'll see them against LSU. Now going into Saddleback Football. They won their first game. They won their first home game, 38-24. It was an awesome game, very, very fun to see. It was just amazing. And so Omar J. Black, he had 131 yards receiving off of 3 catches and scored a touchdown. And in the passing department, Trey Kakuk had 207 passing yards off of 14 completions and a touchdown pass. And the Bobcats, they play at Antelope Valley this Saturday at 6 p.m. Their next home game is against Southwestern on the 28th at 6 p.m. I will be there. It'll be a very, very fun game to see. I cannot wait. This was just in general, a very, very fun game of football. Come out to a Saddleback College football game. It is very exciting, very, very fun to come out and support your Bobcats. You're listening to Catching Up with Carter here on Saddleback College Radio. My name is Carter Kirchhevel. You're listening on 88.5 KSBR HD2 Saddleback College Radio. Our next song we're going to be listening to is Up by Connor Price and Forrest Frank. Hello and welcome back to Catching Up with Carter here on Saddleback College Radio. You were just listening to Up by Connor Price and Forrest Frank, and we are going to go into all of the games for this coming weekend as we are going to start with Thursday night football with the Bills versus the Dolphins. And so for the Bills themselves, we're just going to go through kind of the prediction from this last week. And for the Bills versus Dolphins game, we had the prediction 28-21 Bills, and the final score was 31-10 Bills. So we would say that's a nice prediction. And so this prediction was good, but just some storylines from this game. Just prayers go out to Tua Tagovailoa from the Dolphins. He had another concussion. We're hoping that he is okay. We're hoping that there is no brain damage or injuries in that sense. We just hope that he has just a recovery, and we're hoping that he makes the best decision for himself. But going into football for this game, the Bills dominated. They had everything on their side. Josh Allen played amazing football, and this is just to tell you that the Bills, they're here. They're here, and they're here to stay, as now they're 2-0 now on the season. So they're here for the AFC East. Moving into Sunday football, we're going to start off with our 10 a.m. games. And for the Saints versus Cowboys, the prediction we had last week was 34-17 Cowboys. And it ended up not being like that. And it ended up being, the final score was 44-19 Saints. That prediction was try. And so for the Saints themselves, they are an amazing team. I don't understand what is going on. And Alvin Kamara, he has something going on in his blood. It's crazy. He had 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Let me get that in your head. 4 touchdowns. Just a crazy game for him and for just amazing. I don't understand how he did so well during this game, but he just did. He had an amazing game and just crushed the Cowboys. They had nothing for themselves. Going into our next one is Buccaneers versus Lions, and the prediction for myself was 24-14 Lions. Ended up not being that either, as the final score was 20-16 Buccaneers, and that's why that prediction is try. And so for the Buccaneers, they're proving as well why they should be respected as a team. And Baker Mayfield is doing amazing. He is now 2-0 so far, being an amazing quarterback. He has one of the top passing yard leaders of this season. Just amazing game from him. And for the Lions, they need to kind of reflect. They need to figure out what's going on with their roster and what they need to be doing just in general for what's going on for themselves. And so we're going to go into our next one with the Colts versus Packers. And the big storyline for this one was that the Packers did not have Jordan Love. They had Malik Willis playing as the starting quarterback. My prediction still was 21-17 Packers, and the final score was 16-10 Packers. And so that is a good prediction. It is nice. And so for this game, going into a little bit of what happened, the Packers just played better. Malik Willis just had a decent game, and Anthony Richardson struggled. He did not have anything going for him, and so we're hoping maybe some momentum gets onto his side. I like Anthony Richardson as a quarterback, hoping maybe he can have something for himself, and we're hoping that he can get a little bit more improvement. But Malik Willis, he seems like a decent backup, got traded from the Titans, so we'll see. Maybe that's a good improvement for themselves. And then we're going to our next game, the Browns versus the Jaguars, and my prediction for this week was 27-10 Jaguars, and the final score was 18-13 Browns, and that's why that prediction is try. And so 18-13, the Browns did win, my apologies. They did win. And so for the Browns themselves, we're just looking at this game as, can Deshaun Watson get something done? He really didn't play very well, and now they're looking maybe to get some different just things going on offense. And so hopefully they can get something going, but the defense, they won this game for them. They played a great defense against the Jaguars. The Jaguars have just been struggling this season. Now the Jaguars, they start 0-2, looking like they have no chance at the AFC South. And so hopefully maybe both these teams can get something going. They both did not look great, but the Browns just ended up winning. And so that was how it went, as 18-13 Browns. Next game was Seahawks versus Patriots, and my prediction was 20-17 Seahawks, and the Seahawks did end up winning this game. They did win, and it ended up that they won it in overtime, and so that was a nice prediction. And so for the Seattle Seahawks, they looked pretty good in this game, but the Patriots themselves looked good. They looked very good. Jacoby Brissett played very well, and they ended up winning in overtime. So the Seattle Seahawks, they've got some momentum on their side. They're now 2-0 in this season, and then they're the top of the NFC West. So if they keep this momentum going, maybe they could win that division. We will have to just wait and see. Next game is Jets versus Titans. My prediction was 27-20 Jets, and the final was 24-17 Jets. So that is a nice prediction. And so 24-17 Jets, just how you think it would win. It just was a good game from the Jets. They played pretty well. It was Aaron Rodgers just doing Aaron Rodgers things. He won the game, but the Titans, they fought back. But going into the press release, we got to see the Titans coach get pretty mad off of a fumble from Will Levis. It was just not a very, very smart play, and it ended up just being a very negative outcome from the coach in that press conference. Moving to the next game, Giants versus Commanders. Prediction was 17-3 Commanders, and the final was 21-18 Commanders. So that is a nice prediction. And so 21-18 Commanders got some momentum going on their side. So hopefully they can maybe get something going for themselves. Hopefully the Commanders with Jaden Daniels can keep this momentum going, maybe win some games. And even if they go get 8-9 wins this year, they have some good momentum. And for the Giants side, just Daniel Jones needs to go. He just cannot be an NFL quarterback. Just nothing good coming from that offense. They did score some points this game, but just in general, it's just awful to watch him play football. Going into the 1 p.m. game, Steelers versus Broncos. Prediction was 17-14 Steelers, and the final score was 13-6 Steelers. So that was a nice prediction. And so 13-6 Steelers, kind of how you'd expect this game to go. Nothing really happened except for just some field goals and just a few touchdowns. Only one touchdown actually from the Steelers themselves. And so it was just not that great of a game. I'll just tell you that much. It was just pretty boring. As the 1 p.m. slot had another game, Bengals versus Chiefs. And that prediction was 28-7 Chiefs, and the final score was 26-25 Chiefs. This is my game of the week, and it was just an amazing game. But for that prediction, that was a
nice
prediction. And so this game, just going back, if you go and watch the pass interference call at the end of the game, it was a little controversial. I believe that it was probably the right call. It was pass interference, but I do believe that there's some lopsided calls for the Chiefs. And so they won this game, though. They won 26-25, bringing the Chiefs to a 2-0 record and the Bengals to an 0-2 record. And moving into Sunday Night Football, the Bears versus Texans. Prediction for this game was 21-10 Texans, and the final score was 19-13 Texans. So they did get the win, and that was a
nice
prediction. And so it was a pretty good game. I ended up going with my friends to Buffalo Wild Wings, who ended up watching this game at a sports bar. Very, very fun game out there, and it was just a great game overall. Nico Collins had an amazing game for the Texans, and Caleb Williams doing USC things, having to run away from every defender because their offensive line can't do anything. It's just awful for the Bears, and the Bears need to get something going. But they are 1-1. They're 1-1 on this season, so they have some momentum going for themselves. Texans, they're 2-0. Now moving into Monday Night Football, the Falcons versus Eagles, and my prediction was 31-21 Eagles. And if you watch this game, this was an amazing game. This is probably tied with the Chiefs-Bengals. 22-21 Falcons. They ended up winning off a Kirk Cousins game-winning touchdown drive. So this prediction was try. And so the Falcons, they've got some momentum now. They're 1-1 on the season, got a win going into this next coming week for the third week of football. And Kirk Cousins showed why they pay him that much money. He went down the field with basically 1:30 left and scored a touchdown. Just an amazing drive. Great to see. Go watch the highlights if you want to see that for yourself. Just an amazing game on Monday Night Football. Now we're going into our next week of football and the predictions I have for you all. Going first with Thursday Night Football. That is happening tonight, 5:15 p.m. Patriots versus Jets. My prediction is 24-17 Jets. I think it's going to be closer. The Patriots have shown some promise, but I think the Jets are going to get this win. I think that they will win over there. I think they're going to win this one. I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good game against that Patriots defense. Now moving into Sunday football, 10 a.m. games, Giants versus Browns. My prediction is 27-20 Browns. The Browns will win that one by 7 points. I think it'll be a little bit closer than you believe just because the Browns have had some struggles on offense. Next game is Bears versus Colts. I think the prediction is going to be 27-17 Colts. I think that Colts defense with DeForest Buckner on the defensive line is going to get to Caleb Williams, and I think Anthony Richardson will have a good game for himself. I think he'll have something going, and I think he'll get some momentum against that Bears defense. Next game is Texans versus Vikings, and here is what's going to happen, y'all, is the upset of the week. And many of you might be asking, why would I be saying this is the upset of the week? And the Vikings, I think they are going to win. I think they are going to start 3-0, 24-20 Vikings. That'll be the final score. Texans-Vikings, I think Vikings will start 3-0. It's crazy for me to say, even with Justin Jefferson probably being injured, but I think Sam Darnold, he's got too much going for him. Texans, they struggled last week against the Bears. I think it's time. I think the Vikings, they're going to have a great season. I think 3-0 start for them. Then Eagles versus Saints. I think the prediction 28-20 Saints. I think the Saints will win this one, and a lot of people might say that's an upset, but I don't think so. I think the Saints have all the momentum on their side, and I think the Saints will win. Moving into the next is Broncos versus Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 2-0. Broncos are 0-2. So the prediction is 31-14 Buccaneers. I don't think there needs to be any explanation there. Next is Packers versus Titans. I think the Packers will win a close one, 24-20. As the Packers, they're 1-1. Titans are 0-2. I think 24-20. Will Levis, he struggled this last week, so I think the Packers, they're going to take it. 1 p.m. games, Dolphins versus Seattle. Prediction 27-14 Seattle. I think Seattle will just have the momentum going with Tua out, and with Skylar Thompson playing quarterback, I think he's going to throw multiple interceptions. Then next game, Lions versus Cardinals. This might also be an upset, but I think the Cardinals are going to win this one 31-27. I think it'll be the best of the 1 p.m. games. Next is Ravens versus Cowboys. Now, I don't think anybody would be predicting these two teams, as the Ravens are 0-2 and the Cowboys are 1-1. No one would have predicted those just records at the beginning of the season. Prediction is 34-17 Cowboys. I think the Ravens will be 0-3 at the beginning of this season, but still somehow make the playoffs in a wild card spot this year. Moving into Sunday Night Football, Chiefs versus Falcons. And the Chiefs are 2-0. Falcons are 1-1. They have some momentum, but I still think the Chiefs are going to win this one. I can't not predict that the Chiefs will win. They always just prove me wrong, and I'm very sad about it. But they win games. And so 24-17 is the final score. I think the Chiefs will take that one. Now, Monday Night Football, we have a double header as the Jaguars, they face the Bills. Jaguars are 0-2. Bills are 2-0. So the prediction, 34-17 Bills. I think Josh Allen will have a great game for himself. Then the next one is Cowboys versus Bengals, or no, not Cowboys, Commanders versus Bengals, and prediction is 24-20 Bengals. I think it'll be closer than people think, just because the Bengals have had some struggles on offense. They got their momentum going against the Chiefs, but I think it'll be a little closer with Jaden Daniels versus another LSU QBs. This is the LSU QB matchup between Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow. That is our full NFL look, our look into our last week's predictions and our predictions for this coming week. Again, my name is Carter Kirchhevel, and you are listening here on Saddleback College Radio 88.5 HD2. You're listening to Catching Up with Carter. Our next song is Highest in the Room by Travis Scott. Hello and welcome back to Catching Up with Carter here on Saddleback College Radio on 88.5 HD2. Again, my name is Carter Kirchhevel. Thank you so much for listening to this show. Again, we are here at 10 to 11 a.m. on Thursdays, recapping all football, recapping Rams, Chargers, Raiders, 49ers, and then for college football, UCLA, USC, and of course, Saddleback College Football. It was super fun talking to you all and going over all of these games. I cannot wait for this coming week of football. Going through our predictions again for this coming week, we're going to start with the Rams, as we're predicting that the Rams are going to lose 28-17 to the 49ers. For the Chargers, they are going to win 17-10 against the Steelers. For the Raiders, they are going to win 31-10 against the Panthers. The Niners we already went over. Then for college football, we are predicting that USC is going to win 27-24 against Michigan. For UCLA, they sadly, we believe, are going to lose 17-34 against LSU. And for Saddleback football, we will have to wait and see. Don't worry, we will go over all of that this coming week. Thank you again for listening to Catching Up with Carter, here with me, Carter Kirchhevel, here on Saddleback College Radio, 88.5 HD2. Next, we're going to listen to First Person Shooter and Follow God.